Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the MS 900 class, which is the introduction to Microsoft Dynamics. Before we get started, as you heard earlier on, my name is Dan, and I work in the Microsoft Dynamics space as a consultant, as a solution architect, and as a certified trainer. And I've predominantly worked mostly on the customer engagement module. And I know obviously some people probably will not understand what I mean by customer engagement, but as we go along a little bit later on, maybe we'll try and unravel some of these things so you would understand what sort of things are involved in Microsoft Dynamics 365. And for the sake of brevity, I will be sort of like rushing through because it's a bit of a long course and there's quite a few things that we'll probably need to touch on. And also, I was wanting to just get a feel from everyone who's on the call at the present moment as regards to what sort of Microsoft knowledge do we have? Do we have anyone on this session who's worked on Microsoft Dynamics besides my good friend Deji? If you can probably just put through a yes, and we can quickly move along. And if you haven't used Microsoft Dynamics before, do not despair. It's nothing complicated. I'm sure by the end of this session, you would have so many takeaways, and you'll be able to understand quite, a few of the things that are contained within Microsoft Dynamics. Okay, brilliant. So let's quickly dive in. I understand we've only got an hour and I've got quite a few slides. So you have to forgive me that, I'll probably be rushing a little bit. But obviously, this session will be recorded as they just said. And should anyone need need any sort of clarification moving forward, I will put out my details, and hopefully we'll be able to help each other, get a better understanding of Microsoft Dynamics. So, what is Microsoft Dynamics? What does this module entail? Um, Dynamics 365 business applications. It encompasses quite a few applications. We've got the CRM, which is the customer relationship management, and you've got the ERP, which is the business applications. And this has been out there for quite a long time, and businesses, the world over, big businesses from big corporations to small to medium enterprises, they do use Microsoft business applications. And I think just a quick teaser to everyone. Does anyone know what AI is? Anyone know what Microsoft, artificial intelligence is? Good. Um, AI, I think for the benefit of those that do not know what AI is, AI is basically artificial intelligence, and AI makes possible for machines to learn from experience. So they do adjust to inputs and they do perform human-like tasks. And most AI examples that you hear about today are things like, computers playing chess, cars that self-drive, and rely on deep learning and natural language processes. And using these technologies, computers can be trained to accomplish specific tasks, which are quite large. Um, uh, it processes large amounts of data, recognizing patterns in data. And as Sainia, forgive me if I got your name wrong, they do mimic human behavior. That's absolutely correct. And now moving into Microsoft business applications. Um, Business applications in itself is something which is quite evolved in terms of Microsoft CRM. So it's evolved from the 1950s in the era where we had mainframes. So you would notice that at the bottom rung here, this is the era where we had mainframes, and these were big, huge computers. Some of them they could fill, a whole room. And then from then, things transitioned a little bit to database marketing, uh, followed on by CRM and ERP, which is enterprise resource planning. And then later in the 90s, we had CRM going live. And I think this was online going live. And the version that sort of like transitioned from the web, from the client, sorry, rather, to online, which is uh, the online instance of the first online instance of Microsoft Dynamics is uh, called Microsoft Dynamics 2016, and by about 2010, that was the time that we got, to the current version that we've got, which is Microsoft Dynamics 365. And Dynamics 365 is sort of like contained in the business applications of Microsoft uh, solutions. And as you can notice, quite a vast, amount of industries have been disrupted, and quite a large amount of industries as well have sort of like reimaged, changed the way they do things. They have transitioned, they have reinvented how businesses, re-engage or engage with customers. Business processes have changed, and how they are now taking advantage, of data and intelligence. And as we all know, or probably majority of the people on the call will probably know that nowadays, if you've got data, they say data is the new oil. It's quite, a rare, or it's not a rare commodity. Probably I need to rephrase it and say it's as good as gold. The minute you have data, you can do so many things, or an organization can do so many things, provided they've got a decent amount of data at their disposal. A lot of industries, including manufacturing have innovated, streamlined the way they do their producing of stuff. So their production lines have changed depending on the data that they have. Um, a lot of production lines now are sort of like automated. There's robots that are doing quite a lot of things, and with the advances in technology, we're seeing a lot of focus, on healthcare, moving from disease control and management to more of a proactive wellness scenario. And if you look at things like financial services as well, uh, they are using quite a lot of, or we are rather seeing the end of bankers' hours because consumers are sort of like transitioning or moving away and demanding access to their funds sort of like 24/7. So they want to interact with their bank. I think in this day and age, we pretty much all of us use apps on our mobiles, and we do communicate with with our banks to get various information regarding our accounts, regarding just questions that we might want to throw at the bank. um um Demo, I will probably skip the videos that I had planned to play for you, but what I'll do is I'll certainly put links of all the videos. Obviously, looking at our time, I wouldn't want us to be here till about midnight, because I understand we've got people from all over the world, people dialed in from Africa and everywhere else. And it would be unfair for someone to still be on this call, well past or well beyond midnight. Digital transformation. I think digital transformation is one of the things that, it's a term that we hear being bandied around quite a lot. Do we have people on the call that understand what digital transformation is, or any idea what digital transformation is all about? Okay. Um, Digital transformation basically is sort of like streamlining the businesses and how they respond to demands, and pulling data across organizations so that analytics can sort of like hunt. It's a concrete and connected business application strategy that is used by organizations to implement and support industries that are looking to disrupt. And when you think about the real connection between organizations, um, it's most probably the data and the applications that are enabling the organizations to go forward. So as you can see from the depiction that we've got here, we've got at the top engagement of customers, and we've got optimization of operations, transformation of products, and and empowering of employees. So these are things that are uh, being enhanced by a digital transformation. And digital transformation in itself, it's interconnected business applications that are fundamental to ensuring that there's a robust data that is generated and harnessed in order to make customers have ideal experiences, or employees uh, do their best. So you try and get the best out of your employees using digital transformation. And if you jump into the digital transformation or digital feedback loop, rather, you would notice that with this framework, we use it to highlight how digital transformation, is enabled and what we call digital feedback loop. And as you can notice at the center, we've got data that is coming out of everything. And like I said earlier on, data is the new oil. So every product at this point is being wired up with telephony and the ability to collect data. For example, you can have a thermostat in your house, which knows when the temperature changes, or every motor that's manufactured at this point is emitting, telemetry. Every time, you browse your web, there is telemetry being created. And so this tolerant of information allows us to better understand um, our customers. That's if you're a business, our operations, the use of products and services is fuel for the transformation. So we've got quite a few things, here around the evolution of CRM, but I think I've already touched on that. But probably what I can quickly do is just to say what are the things that are encompassed in D365. So we've got modules like project service automation. This can be used by people that are working on projects. So you could have, a team of, say, plumbers that are working in a city. We'll call city A, and this could be used by their head office, to try and assign, the work that they need to do. You can put notes on their pages to tell them that when you get to this particular site, this is what you need to be aware of, or this is what you need to fix. We've got various instances like finance, which can be used by our various finance departments. We've got Business Central. We've got the sales module, which can be used by salespeople. Marketing modules, which can be used by marketing, and it encompasses quite a lot of things like events. Uh, you know, Universities do a lot of events. So take for instance, a university could decide to do an event at a university maybe every week or so. So what they will do is with the events module, they can send out notification to their student body to say we've got a particular event happening at such and such a time, and they'll send out text messages or emails to that effect. And once the student do attend, that can be recorded as well. And all this information can be used, for other purposes by the organization moving forward. And why um, Dynamics 365 business applications? Well, the simple answer is it's adaptable to match companies' business requirements. You can extend it, you can integrate it with other Microsoft products. You can integrate it with other, solutions. There are various ways you can do the integration of D365, with external third-party solutions. This could be, doing a bit of development via APIs, or you could use various integration tools that available on the market. Right. Unified processing of data. This diagram is a little bit elaborate, and I know if we were to spend a lot of time, we would chew up most of our time here. So I will probably just whiz through quickly. Um, Also, this platform is quite open, so it's an open platform, and so bringing it does bring in all our partners or all our systems, allowing this data to be collected in order to create uh, business intelligence and ultimately create value for our organization through the digitally transformated business processes. And as you can see, various information is collected from so many sources. You've got emails connected to calendars, connected to tasks, connected to patients records. This can be connected to various other things. And you've got accounts, you've got orders. There is a lot of things that can be inbuilt with Dynamics 365. So it's got a lot of capabilities that can be exploited. And as you can notice, D365 is quite intelligent. The way it's organized, the business processes, and the different business applications. And for our lesson two, what is AI? Um, And as we noticed earlier on, AI is quite powerful. And in AI, we've got sales insights. So Dynamics AI is handled by something called sales insights. So what does sales insights do? Sales insights help to identify what it is or isn't working by automatically transcribing it and analyzing uh, customer emotion. It does analyze sentiment. It does analyze things like conversations or conversation content, the way someone is speaking. It does discover what customers are responding to well, so you can replicate that successfully. Um, and it could be one of the strategies that can be employed by the team as a whole. It does coach more effectively by increasing sales performance, and it also does ramp up sellers faster with AI driven insights. It makes for good strategic business decisions by pinpointing exactly where emerging customer needs that can help to grow your business. It helps also for the organization to stay ahead with insights deriving from brands, competitor mentions, and things like that. And it does also find best opportunities by increasing conversation and win rates by using machine learning to prioritize leads and opportunities with the highest likelihood to convert and buy. Um, we have something as well in there which is called customer insights. So what is customer insights in terms of Dynamics 365? Customer insights, it brings a holistic view of what your customers as an organization, by bringing all that together uh, for your transactional, observational, or behavioral sort of like data. And by using, pre-built connectors, this is one of the beauties of D365 Customer Insights. There is inbuilt connectors uh, that help, to enhance this. And there is as well, machine learning, which is in pre-built within there. It discovers insights, and it does take insights um, by employing machine learning templates that can predict, the chain or the next best action. It does discover, things like new audiences or audience segments and AI-driven recommendations. Or you can even create your own things, on the fly. Um, Customer service insights. With customer service insights, these are some of the things that you can do as well. As you can notice, this is more like a dashboard. And what it does, it improves your customer satisfaction by building things like loyalty, resolving issues before they impact the customers. And you can, as an organization, gain comprehensive understanding of customer satisfaction by using customer satisfaction scores or drivers, and you can use AI insights to implement these data driven improvements. It does help, in streamlining of operations with case resolutions, insights, backlog trends, and things like historical comparisons. D365 Virtual Agent for customer service. That's another of the things which is contained in D365. So these are visual agents that are used, to create, interactions with your customers. So these are basically bots. I'm sure quite a few of us have, had bots. Do we have anyone on the call that uses bots or that have used a bot at some point? Yes, yes or no? I think someone says yes. Fantastic. And bots, um, no code graphical interfaces. Fantastic. We've got a couple of yeses there. There are no code graphical interfaces, so you don't really need, to write code. You don't really need to go into a little corner and, be typing away, be it your C sharp or whatever, development language that one uses. Um, this can be used, this can be done, without the need for a data scientist, and you don't really need to be, an out and out developer to make use of this functionality within Dynamics 365. You can take advantage, of capabilities of Power Virtual Agent to deliver exceptional customer service. And also, you can enable the boss to take action on the customer's behalf. So you can easily integrate your bot with hundreds of services and systems um, out of the box, or create, like a custom workflow using Power Automate. Um, Still on the subject of insights, we've got marketing, insights, and these do track quickly and react to events when a feed is offered, and it offers, a snapshot of that key event or a trend. So it looks for a trend, and then it can pick out quickly what the trend is, and they can expand any item for more comprehensive details, and anything else which is related to that information. It does help, to keep up to date with concise and timely emails that summarize things like news or trends uh, on your customers, or be it your competitors or products that you care about, and you can easily add relevant topics, to sort of like track these. One of the key things that gets me bouncing a little bit is when you get to things like 365 fraud protection. It is a wonderful thing, and I think it does quite well work well, in the sense that it helps to decrease your wrongful rejections, and it also increases things like acceptance rates, and it reduces fund losses or manual reviews, on of expenses, as well as frequency of challenges on things like friction in the shopping experience. So it does quite help, quite a lot, and this can be used, as a network to gain broad awareness of fraud activity across the globe, while keeping the security of the confidential information of shoppers or privacy top of the mind. And it does, share transaction knowledge by issuing banks, or that helps, to boost authorization rates. So this is something that can be used by uh, so many organizations across different industry verticals, which makes it one of the good or go-to products that are out there. And we also have Dynamics 365 product insights. And by DC D365 product insights, what do we mean? These help, to deliver great customer experiences by doing everything from offering proactive customer service, or upgrading features, and rolling out things like software fixes. So it can intelligently and do that for you way before. It does things, like anticipating potential, frustrating experiences, and discover opportunities to, improve real-time view of how customers use, the product. And this is utilized using artificial intelligence. It does accelerate, time value by better understanding customer needs. As an organization, one of the key things, if you want to grow as a business, is to understand, your customers or your market segments that you operate in. Without a good understanding of your markets, I think chances of surviving in business will probably be next to nil. Um, Connected stores. And what are connected stores? These are used to ensure what customers' needs are met effectively and quickly, and it does equip store managers and employees with actionable alerts or triggers, um, which are which probably come out at the back of store activity, or things like long checkout lines. So it does optimize, your staffing and your merchandising decisions by using AI insights around the shoppers who are visiting, your stores. So this is predominantly used by people in the retail industry. And we then move on to mixed reality. What is mixed reality? Mixed reality, it encompasses quite, a lot of things. These are human behaviors. So in terms of mixing, I think there's three things that it works across, which is the human element, the computer element, and the environment itself. So where does mixed reality come in? So mixed reality is basically the intersection of these three elements at one. So it does combine human computer interaction with perception that is provided, or that it provides, which provides the opportunity to create true and mixed reality experiences. And the movement that happens in the physical world could easily translate to movements in the digital world, and the boundaries in the physical world influence application experiences, such as your games, how people play their games, object placement, which is done in the digital world. And Microsoft mixed reality strategy is basically focused right here in the middle. So you've got the physical reality, and we've got the digital reality on the far end. And Microsoft mixed reality strategy is best right there in the middle, and it's focused uh, right in the center of it all. And what it does provide sort of like a fully and immersive mixed reality experience where users can resolve real world problems. And these might come in the form of augmented training experiences, visual product designs, or things like virtual collaboration with your colleagues. Um, so I think I've done quite a bit of talking, and before I carry on yapping away as usual, does anyone have any questions pertaining to what we've spoken about? And if what we could do is we could maybe do a question and answer session right at the tail end. And looking at the time, I can see, I think we've got about 11 minutes now. And if everyone is okay, we could possibly carry on till about 10:30. If everyone is agreeable, I'm happy with that. And probably later on, what I could do as well is then take you through probably a Dynamics 365 instance, and show you a little bit of what Dynamics 365 is all about. I think it will be good to put, to go through the actual product itself, so at least people can have a feel of what Dynamics 365 is all about. Oh, Sainia says, how do we use this Dynamics 365? So Dynamics 365 can be used in various ways. because there is a lot of instances of Dynamics or Dynamics 365 products. Business applications is a family of products. So, for instance, you could have the customer service or the marketing module that you could use. So, depending on the use case of the business or the organization, you will then choose what sort of module you would want to use. So, for instance, you could have, a case management system that can be employed within an organization. So, I'll take, for instance, a university. So, you could have a university, we'll call it Blue Sky University, that would have, so many students uh, that are enrolled within the university. And you could also have a lot of potential students that would probably want to enroll with Blue Sky University. So I'll take a use case of a student, a potential student that is wanting to join the university. So as a potential university, I can apply to Blue Sky. Once I apply, my details are captured in Dynamics 365. And along the application process, uh, the university might say, oh, you want to do a bachelor's degree in computer science, and you say you've attained XY grades for these particular subjects. Could you provide us with a transcript of your result set? So, as a student, I'll write in to the university and attach my transcript. And when it gets to the other side, the university will then use Dynamics 365 case management to capture that query. I'll call it a query for now. So we'll use case management to capture that query. And once they capture that query, all the interaction that is done is contained within Dynamics 365. And all the letters or attachments that fly back and forth would be against that case record. So if one person is looking at the case, they would know what transpired from day one. They could easily go on and see everything that would have transpired. And so the beauty of it is all the information is held in one place. So it becomes sort of like a single source of truth. When someone deals with that particular case, they would probably not need to go into any other system to look at what transpired. We've got uh, emails that are flying around in Outlook, and then you need to see the history of the person. When did they apply? What sort of subject did they apply? For, and maybe you're looking at what campus are they trying to enroll at. Say, for argument's sake, our organization has got various campuses, so that information can be contained within Dynamics 365. So at that point it becomes a single source of truth. I don't know if that works out as a real life scenario, which sort of like brings a better understanding to everyone. Okay. let's continue. So we've got Dynamics HoloLenses, and this is one of the beautiful things that Microsoft have, developed as well. And probably I'll come back onto HoloLens a little bit later to maybe just flesh it out a little bit more. And we've got things like Dynamics 365 remote assist as well. And this can be used, to remotely assist your clients, and information is sort of like brought up on a screen, and you can help your clients remotely, like you were doing it, on a one-to-one basis. And there is also things like product visualization, where you visualize certain things using Dynamics 365. And there is something called 365 layout as well. So where you have a layout of things, and you can use your goggles, and it shows you where things are and where everything sort of like resides. So in a nutshell, I think this sort of like tries to give you an understanding of what CRM and ERP, to business applications is all about. The benefits of using business applications, the artificial intelligence, and things like mixed reality in 365, and what values it brings out, for organizations. So um, probably what I can do now is jump in and do a little demo of what the actual product looks like, how it feels. Sainia says, does it involve coding, or is it just GUI? So the beauty of Dynamics 365 is you can pretty much use it without much coding in itself, and you can customize it, and you can configure it to work in different ways. You can obviously use a bit of code, to extend the way it works. And this is when you write maybe a bit of code for your APIs, for the system to talk with another external system. This is where you can write a bit of code to change the behavior of how the product works. And but out of the box as it is, it does come up with a lot of capabilities in itself, where you can customize it and configure it without writing any code at all. And there's something called workflows, which are in Dynamics 365, that can help you do that. And there's also things called Power Automate, where you can do a bit of coding to change the behavior of how the system interacts or does certain things. And there's other things as well, uh, like business processes, which can be used to sort of like mimic a transactional journey. So say for instance, I'm recording stuff about a client who then needs to get where I need to get approval from my superior, and then pass that record on to the next person, and after they've done a bit of work with that record, is then approved by a senior manager until the final outcome. So that can be used by things called business by process flows, and they mimic how certain processes within an organization um, are performed. And for me, says what of the product is more frequently used. To be quite honest with you, Dynamics 365, you've got various things that are used within Dynamics 365. Um, and if I quickly go back to, I think, one of the earlier slides, you would notice that there's all these instances which are in here, which are part of Microsoft Dynamics. So you've got the customer service, you've got the field service, you've got the marketing, you've got the sales, you've got e-commerce, you've got supply chain, you've got human resources, you've got finance, you've got project services. So depending on the use case that the business is looking at, they can use any one of these. So, say for instance, we've got, I'll go back to our earlier example, which is a university. So, a university, for argument's sake, can use the marketing module because they would want to market to future, or potential students. So they write emails, they capture details, of potential students. They go out and they do presentations, and they capture details of those potential students. They do events. That information is captured in Dynamics. You can have a finance module as well, which is used by the finance department, where all the financial transactions are captured. They could also have the human resource module, which captures information related to HR. So how many employees do we have, employee details and all the necessary employee information. And the beauty of D365 is the information is kept, or data rather is kept in the cloud, and it is GDPR compliant. So an organization would not need to worry, about compliance in that regard, because that is one aspect which is already taken care of by Microsoft themselves. And other things as well that the organization, our university, could be using is things like Power BI. So Power BI is predominantly a reporting tool. And with Power BI, what we can do is information that has been harvested into by Microsoft Dynamics, whatever instance that we might be using. So information on our database, we could then query that information using Power BI, and translate that information into more usable formats, and depending on who's going to use that information. So you could create reporting dashboards that could be used by senior managers. And as you know, senior managers do not necessarily need to see granular information. they tend to look at information, more in a holistic approach. But you could create other reports as well, which are sort of like more granular, and these are reports that can be used, by uh, people that are doing, tactical type of work, and you can even flesh it out a little bit more and create, more specific reports for members of staff, that are doing day-to-day, routines, and depending on what sort of data they might want to see. So, for argument's sake, you could have a team of, people working on the help desk or working in the admissions team, and they would want to see how many cases are opened against, our particular students, or how many applications have we got out there. They could easily go into a dashboard and see, oh, there's X amount of applications that are open, and they could even see what status those applications are at, and what, stages the applications have gone through, and what stages the applications are yet to go through. So you can have, that view of information, and you can sort of like build reports depending on exactly what you would want to see. And there's another beautiful thing as well, which is Power Automate that I was talking about. And this can be used, to sort of like automate processes, and it can be used, say for instance, you can automate a process to say, when we reach X amount of applications, do X, Y, Z, or create this report and send that report to uh, whatever team that might need that report. Various other actions can be done. So those are some of the things that can be gained from Microsoft Dynamics. Can this software be used as inventory software? I'm curious to know, is there trial versions? Yes, Sania, there is trial versions out there. And what I'll do is I will give you links where you can download a trial version. You can play around with the trial version. It gives you about 30 days, and you can have a good feel of what uh, the solution does. There is various things, that are encompassed in D365, as you can notice from here. And what I'll do is I will put a link out, and probably Deji will be able to distribute it. I don't know how you distribute the links, and everyone can go out and play around, with the product. So for now, let me see if I can hook up into an instance, and we can probably see what D365 is all about. So if you give me a few moments, I will um, do a presentation on D365. So this is basically what D365, and in this case we are looking at customer service. So this is our instance of Microsoft customer service, and this is what you can see at the present moment is called the new graphic user interface. Microsoft used to have a, a different user interface. I'm sure Deji can confirm this. It used to be quite different from this, but this is how Microsoft have recreated the new user interface. And the beauty of it is that it's quite fast when you use it, and it can sort of like fit on pretty much every device. So, like I was saying earlier on, there is an element of dashboards. I haven't really created, much, in terms of dashboards. This is just, a dev instance that we use as GDS consultants. And also, what could be done is, as in terms of communication, you can capture communication via what are known as activities. So, for instance, I can, if I have someone, um, who's a customer to the organization, I can write to them an email. So I can do communication to that person straight away using D365, and all the conversation will be kept in D365. And if you want, you can also track that conversation in the very same conversation via Outlook. So if you have an Outlook client that you use for your emails and D365, the good thing is you don't really need to be jumping between, the two um, applications, so to speak. You can pretty much do everything in D365 without going back, jumping out of D365 and going into Outlook, write an email, come back. Everything could be done uh, within D365, and it just comes out, just like your normal Outlook, and everything could easily be synced, with Outlook. And as you send an email in D365, that information is also captured, in your Outlook mailboxes, if you decide, to track that conversation within Outlook. And also, you could have things like notes that or tasks. Should you decide, I could be working on someone's record. Let's say I'll just pick a name, Tom, and I'm working on Tom's record. And obviously, I finished doing what I was doing on that particular record, but I feel maybe Deji needs to go ahead and do something. I can send out, a quick task to Deji to say, Deji, can you go and do XYZ, on that particular record? And when I sent out, the particular task, all I need to do is just to look at that record. So who is that record regarding? It's probably regarding John. And what's the subject? I'll put in my subject there. Do I need to put a duration? And then I'll put in the description here. Once I put the description, I can then send out this task to whoever, I would want to look at the record, and then they can look at the record and process it a little bit more, or maybe approve something. And once that is done, you can mark it as a completed task, so no one would then see what task it was. and you can create appointments. You can um, do phone call conversations. So for phone call conversations, I can have someone ring me and we discuss something related, you know, maybe a particular issue that they have. So once I'm finished speaking with that person, I'll then put a note against their record to say I've spoken to so and so, and it was in relation to XYZ. And there's an element of social profiles as well. And I haven't created any social profiles. But what I was talking about earlier on is things like cases. So, what and how you could use CRM is, say, for instance, for our student body, when they want to interact with us as a university and they write an email, we obviously want to capture that conversation. So we can put a rule to say when an email comes in and someone is complaining or they've said something, automatically create a case. So as soon as the email hits the mailbox in Dynamics 365, that email can be converted into a case. And once that case has been created, is then assigned to a particular team or a particular queue, and then you have people from that team or from that queue deal with that particular case. And once they finish with that case, they can then reply to that person using D365. So they would not necessarily have to go out of Dynamics to do that. Everything can be done within Dynamics. Or alternatively, someone can give us a call and maybe they've got a bit of a complaint, and we can obviously just create a case straight away within Dynamics 365. And I'll do a quick example here. Um, so, so I'll probably say it's a complaint regarding. Oh, I cannot type regarding exam results. And then once that is done, you can create, subject lines that you would want to use. So you can maybe create a subject to say um, admissions related complaints. So you can have a subject of admissions. You could have, of a subject of student support. So you could have a student who probably needs, a bit of support regarding, various issues as as they do their studies. So for now, I haven't put any studies because this is just a dev instance. So I'll put a default subject, and after the subject, I'll then go and pick uh, a customer, and in our case, it's probably John. So I got a call from John, and then I can put, the origin here. Was it a phone call? Was it an email? Was it via Facebook? Was it via Twitter? So on and so forth. In our case, I'll put it as a phone call. And what product was it? And these are now things that you can customize as you go along. Do you really need a product to be in there? Or you could probably put something else. So for now, we'll probably say there's no product, that we need to put there. And do we need to put an entitlement? No, not really. Okay. And what's this the description? Um, it's probably, student needs support in, in XYZ. And as you can notice right at the top here, I've got this bar, and this bar is the business processes that I was talking about. So it then records and it guides me on what I need to do. So initially, you can see this is where the case is. It's been identified in this less than a minute. Once I do something, it then moves on to the next stage up until the case has been resolved, and it will then fall on to here. So for now, I'll just save this case. Mm, So this is our particular case now, and the case when it's created, it's created with a unique case number. So you can obviously go into Dynamics and you look for a particular case using, the case number. You can go into Dynamics and you look, for a customer using their name or their full name. And if you are using, maybe say, for instance, we are a university, and universities will probably have student numbers. So every student would have a unique student number. You can have that, on your customer records. And at the top here, you can then search in Dynamics. So this is a search functionality, and it's called Advanced Find. And what Advanced Find does is it's like a query that you use, for your databases, but this is sort of like a graphic user interface, and it makes it easy to just query something without writing any code whatsoever. If my advice find decides to wake up, we might be able to test drive it a little bit, but it seems to be in sleepy mode. Let's see if it decides to behave. If not, then we might have to skip that. And Michael says, does that mean that the dashboard is open to everyone within an organization, or is it within a team, please? Okay, with dashboards, the beauty is dashboards are for particular teams, or you can even have a dashboard for a single user. You could have things that are called views, which is sort of like an initial view for a particular set of data that you might be want to quickly access as and when you want to access it. So in terms of dashboards, you can build dashboards for teams. So in our case, still using our university example, you could have a dashboard for the admissions team, which clearly denotes how many cases they've got, how many cases that they've resolved in the last 7 days, how many cases have been opened in the last 7 days. And this could be well tabulated to show exactly where the organization stands, at any given time. And dashboards do not necessarily have to be across the organization. You can build various dashboards for various teams. And if someone is in a particular team, then they can see that dashboard. Or even you can go to the extent of saying within a particular dashboard, um, depending on the team member's role, they can see certain information. So you could have certain information which could be probably sensitive information, and that sensitive information, you could say, for instance, I would only want senior managers to see that particular information, and senior managers will see that information, and no one else can see that information. And Charity says, is this similar to CRM? Yes, this is CRM out and out. What we are looking at the present moment is CRM out and out. So let me see if advanced decided to behave. Yes. So when you decide to look, or search records within an organization, you can use advanced find, which is a quick tool that you can use, to quickly grab information from anywhere within Dynamics. So in this case, it's looking at cases. I can look at various other things. I know for a fact we've got a contact who's called John. So we can probably look at our contact. Um, whose first name? No, whose first name is called John, and results. No, it doesn't realize. It doesn't recognize anyone called John. Probably they've got something else. We'll probably say contains John. No. Oh, probably let me just look at all contacts within that. Okay. No, I haven't put in any contacts in here. That's strange. No, I know definitely we've got contacts here. No, we haven't got any contacts. That's why. Anyway, let me quickly put a contact here. So I'll call him Sam. Last names. Account. I'm not going to put account, and this is the mobile number. I'll just save it. Let me create another one. And that's the mobile number. And notice there is a lot of things that you can capture on the contact record. You can capture things like the address, the emails, and you can even make certain things mandatory to say if you decide to put in information pertaining a particular contact, they must have a surname or last name appended to that record. Without that record will never be saved. So those are some of the permutations that you could put in within your records. So now if I go back to our advanced find, and let's do a quick search on first name equals, I know we've got a Ted in there. And there is our contact that we had put in the system. So I think probably, obviously, for the sake of brevity, I know it might be getting a bit late. Um, with time permitting, if I get another invite, I'm happy, to come and maybe just dive into a demonstration so that probably majority of the people on this session will be able to see what dynamics is all about, the actual product itself. I don't know what literature can one use for hands-on. I would probably say the easiest place to get information relating to Dynamics 365 is Microsoft LAN. Let me see if I can grab that URL. Yeah, I'll stick it in the chat for now. Thank you, everyone.